Okay, let's try September 12th, 2019 planning board meeting. I wish it was May. But anyway, first item on the agenda is a continuation of a conditional use permit for Charity Gagnon for a kennel on 231 Old Francistown Road. I had a site walk.
I swung by there on the way here tonight. Just missed you, I guess.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how long the driveway is. I think you guys said it was 800 feet. It's pretty long because it has a curve in it.
I found it sat out at the edge of the road and listened, but that was a while ago.
Well, I sat there. I got there at 4 till 6 and parked at the end of the driveway, waiting for you guys to pull in, so I could hear the dogs barking, and nobody pulled in, so I went on in anyway at 6 o'clock. So I had a brilliant idea. It just didn't work. I get those all the time. So we chatted a while, looked around. Charity, you said you bought 3 or 4 no-bark collars? Is that right? 3? I really don't know what else you could do on site to make it any quieter. I mean, she's 800 feet away from the road, there's a curve in the road, it's heavily wooded the whole way around her.
Would it make sense to limit the number of animals?
She's got the number of animals right now. Well, I wouldn't allow any more.
Well, she can't, because
Right.
otherwise she'd be commercial.
Right.
So,
But if the problem is noise, one of the ways to abate the noise is to have a smaller number of animals. I'm just raising the question.
I pulled in there tonight. I don't know if you have any of those no bark collars on, but they didn't bark.
I only sat at the end of the road. I didn't pull up in there when I went down there. That was, what, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. I didn't hear anything. I mean,
I didn't see a problem giving you
I'm sure somebody from the public would like to speak.
distance, how far they butt us are away.
I get the rules now. Elizabeth Hoffman. I sit out on my porch various times of the day. 3 or 4 times today I heard the dogs bark. A lot of them, over and over and over again.
Which house are you?
Right across the street.
From the driveway?
238,
I'm 226.
226.
Puppies, older. Must be just the time of day. So,
what time of day are you saying you're out there sitting on the porch?
I work from home, so I can be out on the porch any time of the day. Early morning.
I mean, I'm just saying, an idea of time. What would be early morning? What were you saying? What do you classify it being as early morning?
7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. I have a bad habit. I smoke, so I go out there, every couple of hours, and I hear them pretty much consistently.
When did you buy your property?
93.
Was there a kennel there at that time?
No, she built long after that.
Thank you.
I moved there in 1996,
When did you start the kennel with the dogs?
7 years ago.
7 years ago.
Do I have to go to the mic if I want to speak? Is the noise? The noise only grew as the dog's volume grew. Because when she first started, there was only a couple of dogs, and as they grew, and I've only been hearing it probably for the past couple of years. But even more so now.
What article was it?
It-
What's that?
It's a special,
It's a
conditional use permit.
Conditional use permit.
Yeah, that's,
I have a copy here.
How many dogs do you have there again? Just to refresh everybody's memory. 8 dogs.
You said 9 dogs.
Yeah, I have one's retiring to Stephanie Brown this weekend.
Bruce, it's right here.
313.
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
In the draft minutes, it references a 17,312 kennels. I don't know where I have a name of Virgin, why, I didn't have a 17,312.
Don't feel bad, Chuck. I have it written in mine in my own hand, but that's it. There's no,
It's not there.
it just says kennel by conditional use permit, so I have my, written in my book.
Here's here.
Okay,
23.
wait, so, I guess I don't.
Yes, this is one of the new ones.
Yeah, page 23.
You might.
23, but there's no 17,312.
Yeah, you might have an old zoning one. I'll
Yeah.
get you a new one.
Was it 4 dogs are allowed, up to 4 dogs without a kennel permit? Is that how that works?
Not in rural agriculture.
Pardon?
I think it's different if you're in a rural agriculture zone.
Really?
Well, I know it is.
The way we understood it a couple weeks ago was you could have 7 breeding,
Yeah, what is it?
5 breeding females, 10 dogs max. You'd be commercial if you're selling it to a retail, somebody like to a pet store or somebody.
But there's no limit to the number of litters you can have.
No more than 50 puppies a year.
Regardless of the number of litters. Maximum number, you could have 5 litters.
It's not litters, it's puppies.
Puppies.
And again, just for some of you weren't here last time, I don't have an outside kennel building for the dogs. I have, basically, it's like I don't know the exact size, 12 by 18 or something, size shed. It just has dog kennels on it.
Where's-
So
where's
in
the
and out from
language that
shade or
talks
rain,
about
they all sleep indoors in our
Conditional
house.
use for kennel.
And so the complaint last time was they get them from like 6 to 8 in
What's
the
the-
morning
what's
and
the
6 to 8
section
at
number?
night, which is
17,312.
definite feedback, because when we get up and get ready for work, you don't let them go out, you know? If somebody's home, they'll be outside,
So they don't spend the night out in that
never,
shelter area where the,
Just,
Kelly, can you make a copy?
let me just take a quick look at it.
nor are they
Those
out
2
there in the
pages?
winter. so-
Well, Chuck doesn't have it either.
One guy
I gave
last week,
him to Bruce.
oh, it's okay, well, not last week,
I'm gonna
last
give
time,
'em.
but but down in the winter, it's
Never
gonna
mind.
be louder, well, they're not out there when it's 30, 40.
You get enough copies?
This is
Right, just
conditional
one.
use.
Oh, that's just one?
that's different things. It's not, I don't think it's not shelters, is
If
it?
you can make kennel copies, please.
It just says kennels.
Keep reading. 17,312.1, 17,312.2. Do you have the newest one, Jack?
What's that?
You have the newest one?
Yeah, it's very good. 17, 3, 12, 3, 17, 12, 1,
Okay.
12, 2.
think 17.3.12.2 is fairly important to this conversation.
Yeah.
Once
You know,
once we get the copies, I'll give a copy to Chuck.
I don't,
Then I'll read it into the record so everybody can hear what it says.
This was updated in March of 2016. What, I was just curious, what's the update on those?
3/13/17. Those are the ones Chip handed out to everybody. That's where I got it from one night at a meeting, so I don't know where everybody else's went. Huh?
I downloaded mine off the website.
We are each going to get an updated copy of this. This doesn't make sense for us.
Well, I was waiting for the Word doc,
Which I don't have.
which Craig doesn't have.
Yeah, it's the same one that I got, so.
Right, so I don't think the wording's changed in 2017 for a conditional use for a kennel. You didn't adopt it in 2017, did you? So it still should be
317.
the same, it's probably just a different page number.
No, it's not in this book at all, that I have.
So it was adopted
Remember,
in,
I got this copy from Chip, so. He handed out a packet and I just replaced it. The dogs are inside at night.
And I also stated last time that I don't believe we hear them past 9:30, 10 o'clock at night either. Would you disagree?
I have, on occasion.
On an annoyance, but, you know, maybe on occasion on a summer night maybe, but, I mean, have you had excessive amounts of barking, like when it's bedtime basically? That you haven't been able to sleep if your window's open? And I'm not believing that you can't work from home, because I work from home also.
This is not personal, it's
I
not an
know,
argument.
but we've been neighbors for like 23 years, and you haven't come to me
Oh.
once and said like,
Well,
you know, this is.
I think we
really
gotta
not
say,
cool.
I think
This is not
We don't need,
personal.
yeah,
we
wanna
don't
get
need the
right.
sidebar
I know, but
discussions, that's for someplace else.
It's just a common courtesy to have a conversation.
The noise escalated recently.
And without, it's
Well, I
not a
mean,
sidebar, I'm asking,
on-
have you noticed that it's decreased
What time-
since our last meeting?
On that road, how much traffic is down there on an average basis
What
of a day?
precipitated her being?
Excuse me, how much traffic is down that road average a
her being
day?
here?
A lot.
A lot.
Kelly,
And that doesn't annoy you?
why'd you come in?
Is the traffic noise going back and forth is it annoyance
Why'd
also?
Why'd she apply?
It's a dirt road.
because in order to get a license for it, they had to sign off a zoning, if you were allowed to.
And they're a lot closer to your house, the cars and trucks, than it would be the
We just adopted this
dogs.
last year.
Yeah, but 17.3.12.2
2
is pertaining to
I
existing.
have a kennel
non-conforming
in a house,
Right, but
Two doors
in order
down, two
for
houses
her
down from me.
USDA or
and they
license
bark at
that
night,
she
it
was
doesn't
applying,
bother
there
me
was
in
a
the
form
least.
that
They're
said you
barking, they're
comply
out
with
back, they're
zoning.
outside, they have also
So
ducks,
technically, if you're a
geese.
kennel in a rural
agricultural
agriculture, you
area.
don't comply unless you had a
mean-
conditional use permit.
This is a rural area, I don't,
Don't lose the originals.
they're not running at large. 800 feet off the road's a good distance. Trees.
Pass them down.
And it's not at night, it's during the day.
Would be surprised if you didn't see a decrease in barking with the 3 bar collars, even less than what's the original system. I know they're working. Other than that, I don't really know who's gonna bark and
Why
Okay.
only 3 collars if you have 9 dogs?
because I think 3 are barking.
And the other 6 don't generally bark?
Well, I mean, every dog barks, you don't know when, you know, I mean, they're delivering Chewy boxes, the mailman's coming, you know, my kids are in and out, you know, I mean, they bark, but they're not out at excessive amounts, you know, really late at night, or they're
How mu-
not out all day long, 24/7 if nobody's home.
How much do these collars cost?
The bark collar's $40.
40?
Yeah. The wireless collars for the 90 parameter, those
Can we
are
discuss this?
$140.
Yeah.
Okay, let's back up. In 2017, we had that kennels are permitted by conditional use permit. And then there's criteria for granting a conditional use permit. Then it goes to 17.3.12.2, existing non-conforming uses, meaning you don't have a permit, so it's existing non-conforming. alteration or changes in the use of land and/or structures for existing non-conforming kennels may be permitted by the planning board as a conditional use permit, provided that the board determines that, 1, there is no change in the nature and purpose of the original use, 2, the proposed change or alteration will not have a substantially different effect on the neighborhood, and 3, the proposed change does not result in an increase in the level of nonconformity, or if it does, that any such increase in the level of nonconformity is offset by corresponding public benefits, such as mitigation of some impact on the adjacent properties or improvements or infrastructure that address health or safety concerns. Personally, since she isn't really applying for any alteration or changes to an existing non-conforming use, I think we almost have to grant the permit. What's she changing?
That's not the issue.
Read 1712.
Why isn't it the issue?
She's not changing anything.
Isn't it 12.1 that is governing?
No, she started this thing 7 years ago, Neil. This ordinance came into effect last year.
17.3.2, 12.2, existing non-conforming uses. If she was proposing a dog kennel, it would be under 12.1.
It's not
But
a new
it's
kennel.
existing.
It's been there for 7 years.
I never knew there was.
Illegally.
a conditional use permit.
Well, no. Existing non-conforming uses.
That's the only reason
But
I'm here.
that kennel should have, that
Isn't-
kennel was
isn't-
not
isn't-
permitted
isn't-
in that district.
Isn't
That-
non-conforming and illegal the same thing?
Oh, no.
What's the difference?
Illegal is non-conforming, but non-conforming isn't necessarily illegal, is it?
How was it illegal?
Yeah.
But kennels were not, at the time she started her kennels were not allowed in this district. Is that not the case?
No, that is not.
No.
I don't know.
We had to put in,
I know.
she could have had whatever she wanted in terms of personal dogs, but not breeding for profit. So let's assume she had 4 or 5 dogs. That probably was okay. But so she was doing something which she had a use which was in the district which was not allowed in the district.
Well, was it not allowed?
I don't believe that. If it's true, I don't believe it. I don't know about it. Because I know another breeder in town years back who was over on Mount William, and she had too many dogs, and she got into a lot of problems because of her zoning. So I knew on the flip side that I had to go out for conservation. I could have never, they said I couldn't, you know it, I don't.
Well, the rural agricultural permitted uses has a whole list of things, and among them is not kennels.
No, but if you're a hobby breeder and not commercial,
It's a kennel.
you have a building. So, and you say now a kennel is not, a hobby breeder dog at home is not okay?
Is the
I
hobby
think-
breeder selling dogs? Well, that's a business. The fact that you call it a hobby doesn't change the fact you're making money out of it.
Well, it's filed on my income tax every year. I file it as income tax. I'm
Right.
a hobby breeder, unless you go over 10,
But
then you're USDA.
I think the question here is, we have a hobby breeder and you have a commercial breeder. Is a hobby breeder considered an allowed use, or is commercial, does it have to be in a commercial zone? We went through this 2 years ago
The
with somebody up on Concord Stage.
the state distinguishes between 2 kinds of breeders for purposes of state licensing.
Yes.
Put that aside.
Yep,
Okay. Now let's talk about the Weare zoning ordinance.
okay.
The Weare zoning ordinance, is there a definition of kennel here?
Yeah.
What does it say?
Shall mean a building or land used for the commercial boarding or breeding of 4 or more dogs.
Okay. So, she has a kennel. When did that definition go in? Did we put that in when we
Yes, we
changed?
did.
In 17?
Yeah.
Okay. So, she was engaged in a use of her property that was not allowed at the time she did it. In fact, that's one of the reasons she's here now. She knew that she was supposed to get a permit or
No,
something.
that's not exactly why I'm here. And I had always had dog breeding, not knowing that rural agriculture is not okay. That's what, I happened to stumble in because I got a letter from USDA asking me if I wanted to be commercial, and I didn't know if I needed to be or not, so I came here to town and found out that the law changed in 2017, which I didn't know about, so I said, okay, then let me fill out the right stuff, so I'm in compliance with what needs to happen. That's how it happened.
I appreciate that, but the point is, up to this point, including the 4 or 5 years before the law was changed, you were using your property in a way that was not permitted in the rural agricultural area, district. That's my understanding.
Oh,
So
what
if
was,
it wasn't dogs, and if it was any other kind of agricultural animal that I was selling, would that not be okay? I wouldn't be able to sell cows, or,
You would be able to,
goats, or,
you would be able to engage in agriculture, this is 1732, including the grazing care and keeping of such livestock as cows, horses, goats, pigs, and poultry as a gainful business.
I guess the real question is, if she has 4 breeding females, does that mean she is breeding more than 5 dogs? That's where we had the 5 dogs in our definition. The state allows 4 for a hobby. Our definition says 5, breeding dogs. So she may not have a kennel.
How many breeding dogs do you have?
She has 4 females, 3 males.
Male breeding dog?
No.
no, female.
I didn't answer that question on purpose. But I think that's why we put 5 in there.
Well, it's 4 or more.
Yes, and we, in our definition, says kennels 5.
5 or more, it says here in our definition.
Oh,
State says 4, we say 5.
well, okay, so I got the old one then. This is not even any good then. This one says 4.
This one's also amended on 3, 13, and 17, so.
Okay.
She also said she had a total of 9 dogs and she's retiring one.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that,
but
that's
it's saying
irrelevant.
for the purpose of the definition, breeding dogs are females. So if she could have 20 dogs. I mean, but if she's only got 5 females, you know, that's
she has-
what we gotta look at for
If
this.
she has 4, she's not a kennel.
Right.
Kennel shall mean a building or land used for the commercial boarding or breeding 5 or more dogs.
Whether for profit or not.
I'm sorry?
It says whether for profit or not, but excluding veterinary clinics or
Right.
facilities engaged in rehabilitation or rescue dogs.
Well, we know she's not breeding 5 or more, right?
Yep.
She's breeding 4. And you're not boarding.
they're all in the house.
I mean, the
Yeah.
boarding
You
is
know.
you take them in for other people.
You're not taking them in for other people.
So you're saying she doesn't have a kennel?
I don't have a kennel.
That's what this-
That's what I'm saying now.
Yeah, me
That's why I've
too.
been saying, what's the
No,
problem?
excuse me, ma'am, but this is a board
I
discussion.
don't believe she has a kennel. She's not breeding 5, and she's not boarding, period.
I thought she was covered under 17.3.12 too, and I kinda seen Neil's part. If it was a kennel prior to zoning, it'd be an existing non-conforming use.
Yep. That's
But it
where,
wasn't prior to zoning, it was
she's-
later, but the definition clearly says 5 or more dogs. So people can breed 4 dogs and never come to us.
I could have 4 and 15 males if I wanted to.
Yeah.
The, you know,
technically,
the
yeah.
law is 10.
Oh, 4 breeding, 4 females and have, you could have 10 males.
Yeah.
Yeah, technically, the way that reads, yes.
So I don't think we need to give her a conditional use permit. She doesn't have a kennel, by our definition.
Why would she need a permit?
That's right.
Right.
I'd like to refer you to section 3.2, performance standards. It's in Article 3, page 8 in my book. Any use of land shall not be unreasonably obnoxious or excessively offensive to an extent that it be injurious to the public health and safety or the reasonable expectation of comfort, peace, and quiet enjoyment of the community or neighborhood.
Okay, Neil, that's a zoning enforcement issue, which is not our purview.
Hold on. or cause significant disturbance or unreasonable annoyance because of noise, including but not limited to excessively loud music, vibration, smoke, fume, glare, odor, dust, gas fumes, chemicals, radiation, or other waste materials, or by reason of danger of fire or explosion, or result in reduction of property values in the neighborhood.
That's got nothing to do with us.
I agree with you, Bruce. I mention this because if in fact, Terry does not have a kennel and is going to have no more than four, and maintains her situation where she has no more than 4 breeding dogs, then, according to our definition, she doesn't have a kennel that requires a license,
Right.
right? And my question, there are 2 points. Number one, you're right about the enforcement issue, so her neighbor may very well go to the enforcement official, who's sitting right here, and saying that Terry is violating the ordinance because she's creating unreasonable noise in violation of section 3.2. The other question is, if this is not a kennel, are there no limits to the number of dogs that a person can have and sell?
Not as our ordinance is written now.
No, and you can have 55,000 roosters if you want to, too. Making noise and,
Well, no, that's specifically,
I know.
yeah, allowed here.
But that, it could cause an annoyance or a disturbance where they have a bunch of, oh, you have a rooster's crowing all night,
All day.
or all day, yeah. Yeah, part of the state part of it says she can't sell any more than 50 dogs in a year, so I mean, that
But-
kinda drastically reduces the number, because, you know,
She still has to comply with state rules.
yeah. And, you know, rules for animals as
No,
far as
she
the
can
health and
have-
welfare.
She can sell more than 50 dogs, but then she has to become a commercial
Then
kennel.
she has to
and
come
meet
here
those
commercial,
requirements.
and that's one of the things, you know, but right now, and
As
the way
long
I
as long as
read
she has
it,
4 females, we don't care if she sells 5,000 dogs.
yeah. She,
Be hard on the females, I think, but we don't care.
Well,
you're giving 50 dogs a year, I mean, that's pretty hard on the, you know, what, 4 females anyway, so I mean,
you know, over the years, I've been exposed to just one barking dog. I mean, not, never mind 4.
Yeah.
But you need some recourse. Am I given to understand that Kelly is the person you go to?
she's the enforcement.
Yes,
person,
Code enforcement officer.
Yeah, but she's not the animal control officer.
We don't, we just got an animal control officer, but if it's a business that's causing a nuisance or.
A noise complaint is a zoning issue.
This is only an issue, the way this reads. If the the animal control officer has authority if there's dogs running at large, they're unlicensed, you know, chasing other livestock.
Well, it seemed to me that there were some definitions that we haven't heard here tonight. One was, it was like, what is considered an annoyance? It was like continuous barking for a half hour, up to a half, no, not up to over a half hour. And I don't know where these kinds of things came from, but have you ever heard of that, Kelly?
Yes, that's more or less the police enforcement on
Oh, yeah.
barking dogs.
So, anybody that is impacted by the dogs that bark, the only recourse they have is to go see Kelly?
Or the police.
No, they have to
Or the
call,
police.
they have to call the police.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a
For
business.
barking dog,
Yeah, the business is an annoyance and it constantly goes on all the time. 'cause
Yep.
Section 3.2 makes
Well,
it very
there,
clear that there's a violation
Because
of
I
the
don't,
ordinance.
because I don't go out at midnight or 3 in the morning,
Yeah,
or
that way it'd be a police issue.
it would have to be a police issue.
During business hours,
During business hours, yeah.
they could come and talk to Kelly.
And that was the complaint. I'm sitting on my porch at 7:30 or 8 in the morning, business hours, and these dogs are barking. Well, if in fact that those collars work, that should significantly
I'm
abate the
surprised that
problem.
She hasn't seen a difference, honestly.
She has not?
I
She
have
said she
not.
has not seen a difference.
How long have you had the collars?
Since the day after our last meeting, I ordered them on a Friday, they arrived on Sunday.
Do you believe that the dogs have barked less as a result of the
Yeah,
collars?
absolutely. Which I didn't really think that dog barking was a problem in the first place, but, you know, I can be civil and I understand it could be a nuisance, so that was the only thing I know I could do. Like, at the first meeting, they said, could you put up shrubs, could you turn the kennel, could you, and so, I mean, those aren't really options. So, when he came and did a sidewalk, that was the only option I could think of that would help, which isn't really, like, I don't wanna leave him on him all day long, you know, like, my daughter went to work today at 1 o'clock, and I went to work today at 5 a.m. So when she was home today, they were outside, but I don't think they need to have them on 24/7 the whole time they're out there, so when anytime somebody comes in, or a bird goes by, or something, that they're gonna get zapped every time they bark, you know? But I understand the half an hour excessive, uncontrollable barking. Yeah, I have 3 that bark, so I got 3 collars.
I can just give an example of this week alone, because I go out there every morning, and it's been half hour.
Well,
It's 7:30
You're gonna have to call the
to
cops.
8
May I make a
o'clock.
suggestion that will help you in the enforcement issue, should you choose to pursue that route? That you get a tape recorder,
I had taped it
and-
before on my phone before I came in
and,
here.
and you tape the entire day. From whenever you get up to whenever you go to bed, and do that for a week or two, if you're out there that frequently. So that, number one, you can assure yourself that that as bothersome as it is, it's as frequent as you think it is. And that you then have evidence to give to Kelly or the police, depending upon the circumstances, to back up your claim.
Sounds good, and I just may decide when I wanna do that. Won't be right now.
So, I don't think there's anything for us to do with this, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean,
There's no conditional use permit required. It's not a kennel.
So we should probably make a motion that it's not required and have a vote on it, because she did file for one. And I'll make the motion, I guess. For the definition of kennel in the zoning ordinance is under 4.1, definition of kennel requires 5 or more breeding dogs. I'm gonna make the motion that conditional use permit is not required for Charity Gagnon.
I'll second that.
Who has stated that she has 4
With the application states 4, yes.
breeding dogs.
And as long as she doesn't get another one, she doesn't need to.
Yep. She's not a kennel.
If she gets another one, then she needs to come before a site plan anyway, because it's a change of use at that point,
Yeah.
because she's making it a kennel. Not just a conditional use permit, but a whole site plan for
But
it.
she can need both.
Right.
May I ask why you have all the males, since the females, the males don't breed with these females, or they do?
The males, one of them can't, one of them's not old enough, and one of them does.
So is there a reason for having so many males when the females are the
I
ones
wish
that?
I didn't have so many males, because that's part of the barking when the girls go in heat. But one is gonna go to my daughter when she moves out, and the other one is not old enough yet, so I'm not gonna rehome him.
Is there some reason, would it make sense for you to dispose of the males?
Well, one we use, one's not old enough, and the one that can't have puppies is gonna be my daughter's dog, so when she moves, he'll go with her. So no, I can't just take him out of the house. I can't just get rid of him, like, give him to another home.
so one's neutered, one's too young, and one's the only one that's there, so, and I understand that you can't
Dispose
get
of
the
them.
bloodlines awful close if you keep using the
Yeah,
same.
no, I can't do
Yeah.
that. I mean, and that's how we.
If you're putting that in the minutes, please don't use the word dispose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have a second?
I did.
Yeah, who seconded it?
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chuck abstains. Thank you.
I appreciate your time, thank you,
Doesn't meet the requirements.
thank you. I'm sorry, Dennis, no veggie. Happened last time too, everybody got rid of it. Thanks. Have a good night. See you later.
I must need a new rendition of this, 'cause
Me too, Chuck, don't feel
All of
bad.
us, all of us do, and there's something wrong with the system that doesn't allow us to have this within weeks of the town meeting that makes these changes.
The only change is your
I mean, I got
your
the,
district. that
I
one-
got
Yes, but every
once-
year we say there's one more change, let's wait.
Oh,
That's
I-
why people have 2-year-old zoning ordinances.
Oh, I thought you just had last year.
I got,
No, this one doesn't have the kennels in it.
Oh.
I got this one from Chip. He handed out a whole packet of
I
them.
know, and they were wrong.
Not this one, it says it says the
It
date on it.
doesn't have Riverdale in it.
you're,
No, because the Riverdale one hadn't been printed to put in, but I got a copy of the Riverdale thing someplace, what we passed.
'Cause that was the only change last year, was the Riverdale.
Yeah, mine
Yeah.
How come
Anyway,
you-
says
No,
five.
his-
I had like 3-year-old.
Mine says 4.
Waiting for a
What's
while.
this say?
That's why I downloaded mine.
That was the one that was changed
I'm
in
not waiting anymore.
3/13 of 17.
Anyways, next item on the agenda is not here yet. So we're gonna go to Dennis Dubois, like to talk about the newly constructed or discuss the new constructed deck design and renovations at 840.
Okay, so he just
Okay.
passed this out, and then,
Affect your garage underneath, Dennis? Give you more
no,
space?
that was your copy.
Oh,
Yeah.
mine?
Yeah, it goes with this. It goes with what you have in your hand. And-
Pass it down.
Bruce can have that.
So Bruce can have that.
Oh, wait, I need,
Oh, Neil, do you have any of yours at all?
No, he told you he's not gonna print them out.
no, I don't know if I have Dennis's with me.
All right, right here.
No, you do.
Jack or Chuck, do you need a copy?
Looking to see. I downloaded what you gave me, so.
No, this is, isn't this Gary?
No.
Dennis, are you at 840?
Yes.
Thank you.
Bruce has one, Jack, you have, I have a
Got it
hard.
on.
Okay, does Chuck need one?
You need one, Chuck?
what would I be missing here?
Quilt Art Professionals, 840
The sketch
South.
No, I don't have that. Oh, this,
No, that's new tonight.
No, the sketch, I don't have the new sketch, no,
Yep.
but I got,
But do you have this, Chuck?
yeah, he's got the face sheet.
Okay. There you go.
And here's an extra copy of this for somebody.
That's Chuck.
That's the new
That's
sketch.
the new schedule, okay. So make this simple so I understand it, Dennis. They're taking out those little porches, like when you walk in the side door, the main entrance, then the one over on the other side.
Yes. Explain what you're doing
Yeah.
in simple terms.
What I'm looking to do, on the right side, I put I was asked to put the measurements of the existing decks that are in place. The combined length of all those decks is 64 feet long. The way that they're staggered in to some of the buildings, some parts of the building are set in farther than others. The furthest deck is the one in the main part of the building, which is 23 feet long, 8 foot. So what I'm looking to do is, you see my exhibits on A, B, C, and D, those are the existing decks. And then on the left side, I numbered 1. Number 2 remains unchanged, dimensionally. Number 3 is what I'm looking to add in order to join the decks together. They all have to be ripped down because they're in disrepair. So, and we've always envisioned doing this. It's not gonna affect the parking, the existing parking remains unchanged. It's just simply to square the deck so that it's a better flow and provide for an outside dining experience for the restaurant's customers. The current owners recently put in a pool table. They lost 15 seats. So inside the restaurant's permitted 104 seats through the authorities, DES, fire department.
The septic approval.
Septic approval.
International, yeah.
So they're down to 89 seats with the addition of the pool table. So the current owner would like to put 15 seats or 14 tables with 2 chairs with umbrellas on the front deck, just to provide an outdoor dining experience for its customers.
Where did they put the pool table?
In the middle of the main dining room.
Oh, so you've been in there since they've done it?
Yeah, it was not in the other day.
Oh, man, there wasn't enough room in there to begin with, so that's even
The
less.
the
Okay.
89 seats includes the upper story inside.
Correct, yes, it does.
Is that the grill?
Am I correct that you currently have 384 square feet of deck, and that with your proposal, that will go up to 654, almost doubling?
I don't think so.
Yes.
I got 470 being added. What did I do?
Yeah,
wrong?
that's right. I just did it.
But number 2 is unchanged. You have to-
Yes.
Yeah.
16 by 10 is 160,
184,
10 by 19 is 190.
yes, but number 2,
It's 0.
no, number 2 is 184.
It's already
He's not
replaced.
adding anything, but he's replacing. So his total number of square feet is 160 plus 184 plus 190 plus 120, 654.
No,
No?
he's saying he's adding a 10 by 19, adding a 10 by 12, adding a 16 by 10.
The wood
One.
is currently in place on
In the front, which is,
front, which is.
So one he's adding
is
this,
23 by 8.
Disrepair and.
3 he's adding this, and 4 he's adding this.
Took a look at how badly it is. and
Yeah.
He's adding these
really
areas.
can't support anything.
Yeah, I know.
This is 160 square feet, this is 190, this is
So
120.
you're adding, what, 470 feet, is that what?
Yes.
Yeah.
470?
Yes. Yeah, you were taking the 16 by 10, assuming that's A plus 1.
Is that what, 292 now, Rick?
384.
Three.
1, 2, 3, and 4 are the new, is that correct?
No.
A, B, C, and D is the current, and 1, 2, 3, and 4 is what he's proposing to do.
1,
No.
3, and 4.
No,
Two-
he's adding 1, 3, and 4. He's gonna continue to have A, B, C, D.
He's not taking any away.
Right.
He's more than doubling what he's got.
I got the right page.
Okay, is that what you're looking for? Because that's the part I was having a difficult time with, was the scope of review.
And these decks are going to be not enclosed and not heated,
No.
so that they're only usable
Seasonal.
during the summer and perhaps a little spring, little fall.
Correct.
Now, the question is, does he have to come in for a site plan? I believe that's the question. Okay.
Where are we looking?
So if you go to the site plan regulations, page 5. Any change in well,
Well, scope of review?
yes, under scope of review, we got the 6 bullets.
Yep.
Any change in use of a site or structure which such change is materially or substantially different from the previous use, well, that
Oh,
doesn't
in the
count.
wrong book.
Expansion of a use of a site or structure where there is significant effect on the quantitative and qualitative requirements of the regulation of zoning ordinance. I don't think so.
Well, let's find out. How many more seats will this add to the restaurant?
No more than 15,
1, 5?
1, 5.
And you've already,
With 470 square feet?
Correct, it's, with umbrellas, and it's, once again, it's seasonal.
Yeah, but what's happening, Neil, is
He's losing.
those decks now, presently, he can't put any seats out on. They're not big enough.
so.
There's no
I mean,
seats out there, right?
What was it originally licensed for? Right,
It's 104 seat.
104, and then you lost, you're down to what, 80?
There's 89.
So 89. So you're gonna add another, how many?
So he's adding the 15 he's missing.
15 more seats, so he's still gonna be under his,
He'll
what
be at
he's licensed
104.
for, so I don't think this is
104.
an issue. It's still within the scope of what he's originally,
Okay,
Approved to do.
next bullet is new construction of or physical expansion of non-residential or multifamily buildings as to cause an enlargement of the footprint of the building, or development of accessory structure larger than 100 square feet.
I don't think it's-
Is a deck an accessory structure? It's just a question. Modification to previously approved site plans. Sort of, I guess. He's not adding seats, so I don't know about that either. An expansion of 200 square feet or greater to a parking area or driveway. That does not apply for sure. But change of use or expansion involves significant impact in terms of traffic, circulation, parking, or lighting.
No, because it was approved from that seat, number of seats to begin with.
So the question I have is,
He's not adding seats, really, he's just
No,
displacing what was displaced by the pool
is
table.
adding almost 470 square feet of deck,
Right,
is that development
No.
of an accessory structure?
that's really
That's the
that's the question, right.
Is a deck an accessory structure?
I'm looking at the definition.
I don't know, do we have a definition of accessory structure?
Yeah.
No.
Do.
We're probably doing zoning. I don't know
see
if we're
one.
doing this or not.
In zoning, I don't know about in site plan.
Yeah, I was looking at zoning.
There's nothing in site plan that I see.
Accessory use,
Yeah.
Definition says see zoning, so. We were smart there, weren't we? That we don't have two conflicting definitions. Yeah, shit. Yeah. Structure's anything.
structure is that which is built or constructed.
It's as clear as mud.
So accessory uses
Like-
shall mean a building or structure that is incidental and is subordinate to permitted use on a lot.
I think the decks are that.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Neil, I think they are,
An accessory structure?
yeah.
I would think accessory would mean other than what the site was originally intended or designed for, but
Yeah, I think it's. Pretty clear. Shall mean a building or structure that is incidental and subordinate to the permitted use on a lot. And used for the purposes customarily associated with the primary use of the lot. The deck with seating on it is pretty much customarily associated with a restaurant, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It was permitted 4 tables on the B section as part of their original plan. So outside dining was already permitted.
on that, on the B plan.
Yeah, what B is.
Yeah, I'm just saying that,
Tables there at one point, we haven't been able to let them because the deck is in disrepair.
Question of timing, Kelly, assuming that Dennis needs to submit a site, go through site plan review, how long will that take?
Well, I need the
When
I need
when
the
is the
12 days
earliest?
to advertise and do the abutters notice, so it would be the first meeting in October.
the very earliest.
October 10th or whatever. That'd be the very earliest.
Nobody's gonna be sitting out there this year, right?
Well, I mean, the decks are in disrepair. I mean, I have to move forward and, you know,
I-
so I didn't think I'd have to go through this in order to.
I understand that.
Well, I don't think you need to do anything if you're just,
Site plan review, forgive me, I have a site plan review when we enlarged the kitchen, which is permitted. I mean,
That's not expansion of the structure, though.
that wasn't expanded, how was it not?
You should have
We
been.
added on.
Yeah,
Well,
you
then your new site plan better show your addition on your kitchen,
Well,
because you should have had one.
I was
well,
surprised it
was-
wasn't.
That was already, that was, went through the permitting process. I mean, we asked for a permit and Chip signed off on a permit for us. I mean, everything was done above board. I'm just curious.
Because people make mistakes. I don't know. I don't have an answer for
If it
that.
was bigger than 100 square feet, it needed, we should have seen it. That you were adding on, 10 by 10.
assuming that you started, assuming that you don't need any further approvals from the planning board, when would you expect to have this project completed?
Within a month, or less.
So you're talking mid-October.
Correct, and as I
And
said.
do you think that people are going to be sitting outside in mid-October?
Depending on, with the weather patterns, I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, if people have sat out there, before this deck started really falling into disrepair, so colder climates.
What I'm trying to do is to determine whether there's a delay factor.
I don't think
The
that's gonna
problem to
matter.
go out there and sit the smoke is when they go out to have a cigarette, so I mean, because they can't smoke inside,
I mean, it's,
which is, a lot of them go out there now, I know. But I understand part of it. The other part of it is too, is also, time is of the essence for the contractor to get in there and start doing it before the weather turns south, in case certain
Then-
other things have
That's
to be
not-
done.
He's
so.
gotta get his plan in here
That's
quick.
right, so, I mean,
There's nothing, am I correct that there's nothing that prevents Dennis from replacing deck B2,
no, I don't think there's anything to.
No, as long as it keeps the same size as now.
which is what he's proposing to do?
Yeah,
Is that correct?
well,
yes, but
If
you're
he
gonna
wants to
have.
tie them all together.
Yeah, you want to tie them all
we
together.
tend to tie them all together. I mean, it'd be senseless to,
Yeah, it would be more
What
work.
what do you mean tie them together? Are they going to be physically attached?
Oh, yeah, so you walk from one to one, there's no rails in between them,
I
how
don't,
wide open.
how can he do that?
This is
Gotta
all gonna
bring
be
it all
that
up to
one
square it
big
off.
deck All the way over here.
So the front of the
One
deck will be,
big deck.
I see.
the current length of it is 64 feet long, so that's, if you look at B, it's just going straight across with the dotted line.
A's gonna come out to the dotted line, and C's coming out to the dotted line, and D's coming out to the dotted line.
Got it, okay.
Well, I think the only department head that weighed in on was the fire chief. He was looking for plans, seating plans.
Army?
and The only one that weighed in, the only department that weighed in so far on this.
Fire department. What's seating plan?
He wanted the seating plan. And other requirements, or how it's gonna be roped off, how you're gonna have an exit off the deck, but that's liquor commissioner too, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Any addition over 100 square feet on a commercial structure needs to come there.
I don't think we have much choice.
Let's see.
So
16.
if we did away with it, adding number 1 and just went with number 3 and 4, would that be within the scope?
No. 3 alone is 190 square feet.
You can only do 100 square feet.
Yeah, it's like 22 things.
Well, just curiosity, what was the definition of an accessory structure? You actually had that?
A building or structure that is incidental and subordinate to the permitted use on a lot and used for purposes customarily associated with the primary use of the lot, the deck.
But the deck's already here, it's,
Yeah, you're putting up additional accessory uses.
Square footage, area.
Cause an enlargement of the footprint of the building or development of an accessory structure larger than 100 square feet.
It's either the building or the accessory structure, and either way, it's bigger, you're making it bigger than 100 square feet bigger, so that triggers it. How big was the kitchen expansion?
I don't have the dimensions there. I think it was,
It's right here.
18 by 10.
180 square feet, roughly.
Yeah, it's on the end, the square. Yeah.
That way.
Dennis, will these decks be accessible from the parking lot directly?
10 by 10 is what it is.
They will be higher,
That's what I found.
so,
Square
No
feet.
access, there will be no access.
Yes, he's
to
okay.
it, with the exception of the
Things,
entrance.
right.
the one that exists now.
Correct.
So in order to get out,
To
in-
the deck,
That's from the
The
assessor.
only way to access the deck would be through the accessory door.
Yes.
okay.
It appears that your kitchen addition was 10 by 10 according to the assessor,
Was it 10 by 10?
so therefore you were okay.
When did you do it?
Those other two are gonna be 318 square feet.
2000? Yeah, but, okay, so if you look in the description on the text card, Craig?
Yeah,
It says addition in 10/28/15 of 11 by 22.
So
yeah, which one looks like 11 by 22 though?
That the total size
Is that the 12 by 21?
I don't know.
Yeah, it was an add-on.
So those notes, just so that you know, those notes are put in by the permit description, not necessarily the assessor's dimension.
Yeah, but if they got a permit for a 10 by 22 addition, then,
That's what the note's gonna say.
right.
But when they physically go out there, the assessor goes out there and does the sketch, it comes out differently.
It may not be what the permit was asked for, maybe smaller or larger.
Larger, or, yeah.
Okay.
Either way,
And you don't do your inventory forms anymore here, right?
No.
Your yearly- no. See, those used to pick up a lot.
either way, I think you need a site plan. Unfortunately.
Me too.
Can he file for an expedient one? Or just
Sure,
gonna
but
be
everybody-
anyways?
Everybody gets all excited about the expedited permit.
Doesn't save a
It
thing.
doesn't save anything. You still have to
No.
notify the public, you still have to
Still
know
have
it.
my 12 days.
Right, you can't submit tomorrow and make the next meeting, because it's only 3 weeks. So I said that. Yeah,
If he submitted it tomorrow, it'd be in by the first meeting in October, so.
Yeah.
Well, the
That's what-
26th,
the best thing you
the
can do is
26th,
October
the
10th.
deadline for the 26th is already passed. So it's,
October what, 10th?
how many days
Yes,
from now to the
October 10th.
26th? Well, come tomorrow to the, it's only 13 days. That's kind of too close,
And that's a lot to get in by tomorrow.
yeah.
I did make a note in my regulations, we may want to revisit that size.
October what, 10?
Yeah, 100 square
October
feet.
10?
Yeah,
Yeah, I can't get it in by then.
10 by 10 seems a little small. In some cases, in his case.
By the time the ad has to run.
Any other questions?
5 hours.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Gary Smokehouse for conceptual, and I don't see Gary with the smokehouse, but I see somebody else sitting back there that looks really excited.
I wasn't doing anything else tonight.
Honorable.
I just wanted to revisit
You must have
the,
to work.
yeah, sure. Wanted to revisit the subdivision regulations. I was pretty disappointed in the vote, of allowing some subdivision roads to only be 20 feet wide in pavement. That's just crazy to me. You know, a big truck nowadays, mirror to mirror is over 9 feet wide. 2 trucks meet on the road, you can't stay on pavement. 1 mile of pavement, if you go from 20 feet to 22 feet width in pavement, so that extra 2 feet of pavement, 1 mile long, there's only 200 tons of pavement, less than $13,000. And if you subdivision that meets your criteria for only 20 feet, whatever number of houses you picked, it's not even gonna be a mile long, probably half mile long. So you're talking $6,000 extra dollars in pavement. I just do not understand the reasoning for you folks to wanna stick the taxpayers with a subpar road. I don't, I have to answer for those, you know. I wasn't called, emailed, invited to a meeting and asked one question about any of these new subdivision rules, and I'm the guy that has to deal with the roads.
Yeah, you were.
You accident, I wasn't invited. It was a slip up upstairs and we had an argument over class 6 roads that there was a public hearing on subdivisions. And I came in and I gave my spiel and then, I guess I thought everybody,
I thought we sent a notice out to you and the fire and the police and everybody. All kinds of people got a notice on that.
well,
Not a certified
maybe I
letter.
didn't get it, I apologize, but I didn't get
Not a
it.
certified letter, but I thought Chip sent emails out.
But at any rate,
Anyway.
without arguing about that,
We are where we are.
I don't know where in the world anybody rebuilds a road and makes it narrower and crookeder, so I don't know why we wanna build new roads narrower and crookeder. And I know the whole 24-foot pavement, that's the widest, you know, widest roads in the state or whatever, so we can keep from whatever your criteria is,
Well,
It says 22 feet, not 24, but I don't want any 20-foot roads. And you measure a truck from mirror to mirror, it's kind of hard to exactly get a pinpoint, but they're over 9 feet from mirror to mirror. So plow truck and oil truck meet, or whatever it is, you're not even staying on the pavement. That's where they bust up.
when you're driving,
Get over on the edge in the spring or whatever, and it'll happen. You know, we're trying to rebuild Maplewold and Orchard Path. Maplewold has 5, 6, 7 houses up there. Not Maplewold, but Orchard Path, Wallingford Terrace Road. I had 4 oil trucks in an hour the other day up there when I was running grader. I mean, you're gonna have traffic. It's gonna happen. Somebody's gonna meet. And contractors putting up millions of dollars to build a subdivision. I don't know what another $7,000 in pavement matters.
No, it's not so much the cost of pavement. I think our thought was the rural character of the road, to be honest with you, and then.
Well, and on that
Well,
note, I can tell you for certain.
Little
Yeah.
roads like the one off 149, I can't remember the name of it anymore.
Corliss.
Pardon me?
Corliss, that's one
Yeah.
you talked about last time I was in here.
Yes. 24 feet wide, when you get to 24 feet wide, the shoulders and everything else, you gotta, almost like an interstate.
Well,
Going
maybe,
down
but
to-
I think them houses sold before they ever built, so
Well, that
people
had
must
not-
have liked
That
them.
probably wouldn't have mattered if it's 24 feet or 20 feet or 60 feet wide pavement. It's all market, you know that. It has nothing to do with it does have something to do with the road, not much.
Right, so if people don't mind that, I mean, I don't think the rural feel comes into that, I guess. I can tell you from my stance, everybody wants pavement. I get called all the time to pave their dirt road and driveway permits to pave their dirt driveways and paving basketball
Well, when you,
courts.
next time you go down to Beiser Bridge below my house, take the pavement off. It slowed people down. Well,
It isn't a matter of me wanting or not wanting a paved road or a dirt road. The argument is, we're allowing a subdivision to go in under somebody else's dime, and it's going to get turned over to the taxpayers and the highway department and the board of selectmen that we're gonna be responsible for. What, it's not an argument of, is a dirt road better, a tar road better, how much pavement's better. We're having someone else that decided he wanted to venture out and open up his checkbook and then turn a road over to us. And I think we got a lot of subpar subdivisions in this town that, Jack knows, I took a pretty good chewing on one there a few years ago, and not to use that as an example, but the people that okayed that road weren't in there backing me up either.
It's in the red book. huh?
Page 20.
Yep.
And I could get more data from other towns and other stuff, but I guess that's just not really the argument. I don't think 20 feet of pavement's enough. Roads break up from the outside in springtime snowstorms, and
How wide, you get a truck, let's say it's 9 feet, you put 11-foot road plow in the front, and your wing's another
about 6.5 feet off the
6,
side.
depends on which one you get, which wing you get, 6 to 7 feet, so, say 7, if you get the bigger wing for reeving them, so that's,
We're covering 15 feet. when
you're covering somewhere between
And to keep the front of the.
15, 16 feet, so there's 20 foot, you're gonna meet a car coming the other way at 4 foot, ain't a whole lot.
Is that the only?
Well, the 15 feet, you're not gonna be
I
4
didn't-
feet across the other
I didn't
lane.
sit down and
Oh,
read it.
yeah.
That one bugged me the
Snowplow, when they
most.
come down with a wing, yeah, they are.
Well,
They're
I
right
just
the
thought
other side of the
one
road,
thing to do,
on these side roads.
Oh, when I drive towards them, they don't.
mark up
Yeah, I
Go,
think
get in the
so.
plow truck, go ride with him in the plow truck with the wing down, and
can't
you
change
get a
it.
whole different
I'd
perspective.
be willing to. I just,
They come right at you. I know, I did it for 14 years. I sat in that truck and watched them come at you, and I don't know how many I almost had close calls. Because they drive.
Probably me.
I mean, they drive like they still think it's, some of them drive like they still think it's summertime.
Too bad, right?
Yeah.
And they'll come down on the wrong side of the road. I mean, it's like,
We're trying to get rid of landing strips, Benji, and
Yeah.
like
but
Pine Hill Road, that's down the bottom of it, that's horrible.
whole road's horrible.
I mean, not just the condition of the road, but the design of the road. And that's what our regulations essentially encouraged, was a straight 24-foot wide road, period. That's what they encouraged. And it's, It's not a very good, I know you don't like it, police don't like it, nobody likes it because they slow traffic down by themselves if you put curves in them.
Yeah, speed don't matter to me, but
I mean, I don't think putting a curve in is the issue. I think making it wide enough.
But we put some caveats in there. If it's 20 feet wide with a 2-foot, there's no mailboxes on it, there's no utilities, everything's gone.
Well, mailboxes, where
Yep.
they're gonna put them?
They gotta be in a kiosk at the end of the road. So there's no obstructions. So if your wing hangs off the edge of the road a little bit, it's not like it's gonna whack a mailbox, because there isn't any
Well, the
there.
road's less than 4-foot shoulder.
Well, I think what's being said is the narrow road enhances the possibility of people driving off onto the shoulder, and that breaks the road up. Is that right?
Or ends up in the ditch, because I meet a truck, you know, you can meet the oil truck or the school bus, you know, you get the soccer mom come down the road, I don't care if it's got curves or straight, or, you know,
You're only talking 10 houses too,
yeah.
so we're not talking
At the most.
a very big subdivision.
right.
I mean, it's not gonna be a loop road going, it's not gonna be going anywhere. It's gonna be a short cul-de-sac, to be blunt, 5 houses on the side.
I mean, you go to the, you know, you're gonna go to the same thing with a 22-foot road, you're gonna still have no utilities
Right.
Yep.
and stuff, so, it's gonna,
That 2
I think
feet
it-
makes a big difference.
it's gonna
Say two
enhance the
trucks
fact-
meet each other on Mount Dearborn Road, somebody has to leave the road.
or back up.
Yep.
The other thing is that I think what it's gonna do is it's gonna give them more room to do snow removal. It'll give them a little more room for two trucks to pass, you know, or a truck and a school bus, or an oil truck. I mean,
It's gonna give you less room for snow removal, because you gotta have more snow.
the also thing with the snow is you gotta get it off the edge of the road more, so I mean, it's,
You've got a wider road, so you got more snow.
Well, my plow trucks are gonna cover the same distance.
it's gonna cover the same distance whether you get an inch or you get a foot. But I know, but it's, you know,
I just don't, I
after
really
talking to
don't
him, I
see
looked
what
at
it
it,
is.
and I kind of looked back, you know, you know, whether you get 10 houses or you got 5 houses, you know, you get the traffic. You know, you average 10 houses, you're gonna have 20 vehicles, roughly. You figured, what's the stats say, 2.5 vehicles per family or something like that?
10 trips a day per lot, basically, per
Yeah,
house.
at least. And if you have kids that are driving in those houses, then you're gonna add another car. So you're gonna add, you know, you get that much traffic,
100 trips a day.
yeah, at least. And how many trips, you know, if, the oil truck, the
Well, that's all included.
delivery truck, you know.
They're all included.
That's included in the 100 trips. UPS, mailman, that's all included.
The mail carrier, you know, if it's snowing, you're gonna add to that between the
The
local.
only reason we do 22 is because we can't fit a 24-foot pavement in between our road right away a lot of the times. Why I build 22 so often, but, and have
I
ditch
actually
lines and
think you
all
ought to go
that.
20 and make a bigger shoulder myself, in some places.
It'll break up. People don't stay on the pavement. I mean, it's where all your potholes are, inside the corners and edges, and
But that happens on roads regardless of width. Question for you.
last a lot longer.
Can-
Look at Corliss Drive. We haven't put a patch up there, and they built that road before I started the town of Weare 18 years ago.
On a road that's regardless of the width, can you put some sort of a shoulder on it that goes down into the ground so that when somebody drives over the edge of the road, instead of breaking the pavement can withstand that? Is that done at all?
It's supposed to be, but I mean, it erodes away over time, and
The only place I've ever seen something like that is like down south where they don't get snow and they don't get that they put concrete.
Curbs up everywhere.
They'll
The
put
shoulder-
concrete
No,
shoulder,
I'm
it
not
goes right
talking
down
about
into the
curb.
ditch. It's concrete
Well,
goes right down and slips into the ditch, but we can't do that up
I
here.
No,
think
but
your
could we
thing
put-
says you gotta have a 4-foot shoulder, and then sure, it's good the first few years, but it'll bust up eventually. I just,
Yeah, you hit you with the shoulder as a frost heaves to get
The
in.
moisture gets to it and then
Frost gets in
erodes
there.
the dirt, and that's what you get, you get gravel. Just
So
like it
even-
erodes the
Even if you put
asphalt.
in, I'm making up a number, a 6 by 12-foot chunk of tar along buried at the edge of the road, supporting that outer
so
4
now
or
you
6
got the
inches.
pavement that I want.
I'm sorry?
Now you're putting the pavement that I want.
No, I'm not talking about the width.
He's making the sub-base of pavement.
it's not gonna,
He's haunching the edge of the road.
yeah, it's not gonna give you any
Good
structural
luck with
support.
that, I guess.
When you
Yeah,
start, when you start burying it like that, it won't give you the structural support.
Benji, does this work or not?
I don't know.
It's called a haunch.
It's not something that, it's called a haunch?
Yeah,
It's
nobody-
not, it's got no asphalt is stone and aggregate. When you've got it open on the sides, like, it's got no structural support, not like concrete.
No, but remember, there would be dirt over here.
Yeah, but the dirt is also,
Dirt doesn't stay on pavement.
Moving-
I know,
dirt's a moving
I know what your
thing.
picture said.
Okay.
I mean, you're gonna be over the tonnage that I'm asking for.
to do that, yeah.
I'm just asking you whether it works.
I don't know. I've never seen it done, to be honest with you.
Thank you.
All I've seen that done is they do something like that
Probably
south, and
wouldn't-
they put it, and it's concrete.
Probably wouldn't hurt nothing, but I
It's
don't know. how.
integrated into the culvert.
The problem with New England, you wanna be sure to do, I've learned over experience, is whatever you do under your road, you wanna do consistently. Because it freezes out here, and it heaves and it thaws. So when you have different thicknesses of different materials across your road bed, I believe that would heave differently. I don't know. I've
Yeah,
never
'cause you're
seen
gonna
it
have
done.
Well, yeah, you put a new culvert across the road, and bring in new material on
That's
top of it,
right.
it's different.
The road heaves and the
Go.
pipe stays in place, and
Right.
so.
Well, the pipe
But
will
if you
heave
build
and
on
the-
clay, you wanna build all on clay. You build on
Vice
gravel, you
versa,
wanna
the
build
pipe
all
heaves
on
and
gravel.
nothing else does.
So,
Right.
but at any rate, I don't think that 2 extra feet of pavement's a big deal when it's not coming out of our pocket. It's coming out of that guy's pocket. I can't believe that we would wanna do that. I guess I understand your argument, although I don't know if I fully agree about the 24-foot portion and the straight road. I like maintaining those, but I didn't come here to argue about that. 20 feet is not wide enough to last.
Would you believe that the planning board was talking about 16 feet?
Don't ask me to sign off and maintain them. They better be private.
But the concern, well,
That isn't even a driveway.
16 feet, no, it's not even a driveway.
I don't believe they make road graders narrow enough to grade a crown on a 16-foot road.
on a more positive note, you're really doing a bang-up job. That's positive with that 2.5 million.
I appreciate it.
The number of roads that have been resurfaced is unbelievable, and they all look great. My only hope is that they last.
Me too.
Did you
Hopefully
ever,
we don't have another mud season like this one we just had this spring, because that was rough on things. So.
did you ever come to a conclusion on whether the way you resurfaced Hodgdon, the lower portion of Hodgdon, works or doesn't work?
Chip seal?
I know it works. We'll see if we get the light we promised out of it. But I mean, that was a road that we probably could have had something 5 years beforehand, and we probably would have had potholes by now. And I think we'll get, other than the intersection, it peeled up on the intersection where the tires turn, but the rest of it's held very well.
Are you going to do that on other roads?
Yeah, I didn't do that extensive of a job, because that's a fiberglass. I just did traditional chip coat on a few, Quaker and East Road.
It seems to be wearing well on Quaker Street. And it
It
doesn't seem to
is the
be,
#1 used pavement preservation method in the United States, chip coat. It's just not,
Really?
it took a long time to get it here.
Well, I guess they were doing that in Pennsylvania since I was yay high.
they've done it in this state, but a lot of places didn't accept it. Sunapee's been doing it for 10, 15 years anyway.
So you'd be happy with 21-foot wide road with compromise?
22. I don't think anybody noticed the difference at 2 extra feet, other than it's gonna make the road last longer, the pavement last longer. It'd be more time before I have to put out coal patch and reclaim it and resurface it. It just will. The wider roads are even longer, you know, the 24-foot roads lasted, Rolling Hills still is good. It's 24 feet wide. And the more corners you put in the road, the wider it needs to be, because people can't stay. I mean, you make an 80-foot intersection, people drive off in the dirt. You know what I mean? So, you know, when you meet somebody, it's on a corner, it's deceiving, and everybody kind of crowds the edge. So I think if everyone, you know, that extra foot helps. Going to keep them from going off? No, but it will help. And trucks don't get smaller, cars don't get fewer. Traffic and size of vehicles just get bigger and more over time. They have since the car was invented, and I imagine they're still gonna. They keep trying to invent little race burners, but,
You got the extremes, you got the little electric cars.
right,
you
they got the little tiny
you got
ones,
the
but
little
people
tiny
still
electric-
like their Suburbans, you know? So-
Yeah, you got the, I was gonna say, you got the little tiny electric cars and you got the big Suburbans.
So,
Not a lot in between.
you know, oil trucks and trash trucks keep hauling more and more, and them are the number one vehicles deteriorate the road, or those type, I can't stop them in the spring or not, I can't even stop them on a posted road, so if you got more pavement for them to hopefully stay towards the middle, maybe they'll last a little longer. So,
Yeah, during the,
I mean, we're,
those months, the oil trucks and the gas, propane trucks have to get there. Like you said, yeah, I never even thought of the trash trucks.
I mean, these houses sell just as fast as they get put up, so people must still like coming here and buying it. To me, if you want the rural feel, you don't move to a subdivision anyway, that ain't the concern, you'd move out on Neal's Road somewhere. On the dirt, where it is 10-acre lots, and you can build 500.
Well, it's not the new people, it's the existing people as well. Drive down the road and don't wanna see a Corliss drive sitting up the road.
Well, maybe we ought to make it harder to put in subdivisions then or something, I don't know. I'd be happy if you said no more of them, I don't have enough plow trucks plow the ones I got. No argument there.
We'd be in court in seconds if we said that.
Oh, I understand. Last plea, I'd really like to have you take that into consideration. It makes a difference.
Well, we haven't had a subdivision come in front of the board in 5 years anyway of the road, so it hasn't mattered yet, but yes, we,
I think there's some, right, I guess there's some coming, some are already pre-existing, but it seems like building's a big thing right now, so. I think since I've started for the
It
town,
is.
642 new houses have been built, so. And there's been a depression in between, so it's booming right now.
I've had 16 new houses since I've been here.
Since you
June
started, Shapers. So luckily, we got Corliss under the old rules, and hopefully Duck Pond's all under the old rules, or even your new rules, that's probably big enough, I don't.
it's old rules.
Duck pond, yeah.
But I don't know where else they can put them. Every time I think that the land's all used up, there goes a subdivision somewhere. There's
Oh,
no end to dynamite and big excavators, so they seem to put them anywhere.
If you got the money to build the road, there's lots of places to put it, but
That's right. And that's why I think,
Lot
I don't
prices-
feel
lot
bad
prices
about
aren't-
making them pay another $7,000 for asphalt.
lot prices aren't demanding the new road prices right now. There's several other things, and we're hurting it too, but that's beside the point.
I could see the next couple of years be the time for some new subdivisions get, I'm sure things turn around. Anytime things boom like it does now, they crash like they did, but I bet we got another year or two of it left.
Yeah.
I'd hate to see something subpar get pounded in.
So what's the board think? About revisiting it?
We'll revisit it. I mean, I don't,
I think that
I'd like to revisit it.
we went through this and struggled with this for a long time. I don't see the reason for reviewing it, especially since the fact is that there aren't any, new, as you pointed out, there haven't been any new subdivisions.
Well, I think,
I'd revisit it.
my thought is, I think we ought to revisit it, because maybe there hasn't been in a few years, but, doesn't mean there won't be one tomorrow, and then we'll be caught, playing catch-up ball, and I don't wanna do that either, and like you said, for the extra $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for the contractor to do it. put a
Jack,
couple
that's
of-
not the issue.
Yeah.
Well, I think the issue is he's the guy that's gonna come in here and take care of this. We're gonna make the rules and then basically stuff it down his throat, and it's gonna make his
Yeah.
job difficult, it's gonna
not
cost the
It's not the
taxpayers
$5,000 or
more.
$6,000 for the developer, it's the.
It's gonna cost the
The
taxpayers
issue's gonna be
more.
Benji not being able to take care of the road.
That's right. He won't be able to maintain it properly.
I've got a great idea. We don't have to have paved roads and subdivisions.
Well, the subdivisions that'll go before the court, and we'll get
Why?
hung out to dry on that.
Well, you could, but you don't have to.
You don't have to.
Making
But-
dirt roads.
We
Making
talk
dirt
about that,
roads,
too.
well, I hope that comes through.
At one point, we were told that it costs less to maintain a dirt road than a
Wrong.
paved road. Is that true still?
Well, it depends what lifespan you're in. To totally reconstruct it, no.
Cost more?
Pavement's expensive for total reconstruction, but for the first 10 years, you don't do anything to a paved road.
But over the useful life of a
I
road,
guess depends how long that is.
To maintain
Well,
it.
hopefully you don't ever do a total reconstruction.
How much gravel do you
Totally.
lose on a gravel
Hopefully
road
not.
every year? How much is gravel is lost every year? on
And
a gravel road?
calcium and,
Goes to dust and goes
you know,
on.
the whole keeping things rural, people are paving their dirt driveways on dirt roads in exponential rates, and then the dirt goes down the driveway, and then my phone rings. I mean, I've got 3 or 4 people I just battle with all the time, 'cause they got paved driveways on a dirt road, and the dirt runs down. I know it's a simple fact, it's too bad you shouldn't have bought it there, but that's not my job, that's not how my phone rings, and how, because then when I play hardball, it goes to the selectmen, and I get called in for that, and it looks like I'm not being agreeable, so, right, there's lots and lots of those problems, and so dirt just doesn't make life easy
Well,
anymore.
how much is what's the amount of dirt that's lost on a gravel road every year?
Well, the grade of the road
No, I
is a
mean,
huge
just,
variable in that. If you
Well,
got a
the-
road that's a 2% grade road,
No, but I
you don't
mean-
get much loss. If you
Problem
got a
is the
road that's-
downhill house lots.
yeah, but
Somebody
I mean,
always
you
builds
get the
them
driving
high.
on it, you get so much that goes to dust, you know, you
Yeah.
lose so much of it, it rains, it washes so much of it off. So I mean, to actually do the maintenance on it is more than it would if it was just a paved road.
I can't believe, I mean, this is what I do for a living, and I can't tell Corliss is 24 feet instead of 22 feet when I drive by. I'd have to get out and measure it. We all know that is.
Well,
but-
it's-
So I can't believe that it bothers everybody in town that much to drive by and say, "Ugh, I should have paved that one 20, not 22. I don't believe it. I don't believe there's one person in the whole town that could tell that with their eyeballs. I believe you.
You're wrong, there's one person. I bet there's 2.
So to help out the,
Not with your own eyeballs. You have to wear glasses.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, not kicking and screaming and saying that you should have never changed it from 24. I wish you'd left it alone, so I'm trying to meet in the middle, kind of. 20's crazy. I just can't believe that we would,
We will revisit it.
I really appreciate it.
Out of the,
I get, more information together, but it doesn't sound like,
what we had, I threw it all away, I think, but we had a lot of information together.
We did.
We did. So we will again.
somebody's gonna, you have all them sliding rules too. Somebody's gonna come in with an 11-house subdivision, and some other board is gonna give them a variance to, so now we're gonna have a 20-foot road with 11 houses when it was only supposed to be 10, and it's just gonna
Even if they
snowball.
come in at 22, if we change it to 22, they can still come in and ask for a variance waiver for 20.
Not if there wasn't a 20 in the book.
They can still ask.
Yeah, the
They can
subdivision,
ask for 18.
the subdivision rules are all, there's no variance required for subdivision rules. That's all governed strictly by us. They have to ask for waivers, but no variance. Zoning's waivers, zoning's variances.
And difficult.
And these aren't, none of this is zoning.
I don't mind revisiting it for 2 reasons. One, I want to get, wanted the fire department to, fire wards.
Yeah, we want to talk about the cistern stuff.
Yes, the whole cistern stuff, they
Yep.
should update their section, so we can update the whole subdivision regulations, do the cistern stuff.
Yeah, to the NFPA standards.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that have been in there for.
The whole cistern section there is all messed up.
Yeah, because
ancient.
ours are less than what the NFPA standards
Yeah,
are.
it's-
We have to follow the stricter rules, so.
It's very old, so we could get the fire wards to update that at the same time, and
Do you have to have a public hearing notice?
Yes.
yes, we do.
Yeah.
We can talk to fire wards about that at the same time we can go through this.
Yeah.
And we'll let you know every time we make, before we make a decision, any which, we may not tell you every time we're gonna discuss it, we'll let you know before any vote is being made.
I want to work and get, and,
I will- I
work
will
with
personally-
everyone. It's just,
I will personally email you.
this is a big deal to me. I won't come in on my night off to meetings if I didn't care about it. So,
Okay,
alrighty.
thank you.
I'll eat my gold chicken chips. Have a good night.
See you, Lindsay.
Can you put that on the agenda for October 10th, please? And we got minutes.
Anybody need copies?
I do.
Hopefully just 2 sets of minutes.
2?
I didn't,
Hopefully
yeah,
two.
I didn't bring, do you have the other one? No.
I have it on
We only
the
got
computer, I
one.
don't have it in paper.
Yeah, we didn't do
July,
I've got mine.
the August,
printed it out.
August 22nd,
okay, prior to that was the July, because we didn't have a
Yep.
workshop session in
which I seem
August.
to have lost. How'd I do that?
Oh, I got the,
I know, just had it in hand. Here's
Oh,
one.
you do?
right in my hand.
I have mine online. It's easier to read.
There it is.
This is the same thing.
Yeah, it's all the same.
Yeah.
July
August-
25th and August 22nd.
July
Oh, yeah,
25th.
it's August.
I don't have.
I don't have July.
Why not?
Are they online?
The only one I have is the 22nd. I thought
Yeah,
we
they should-
approved that one.
No, we didn't do it.
No, we didn't do it because the meeting ran late, and I asked you, want to do minutes, and there was a big,
It's really easy to read. I don't have any changes on it. It's one page.
the July one, yeah, I don't have the July one.
Real short.
Do you wanna look at the July ones, Neil, on my computer?
No,
He's got my paper copy.
Okay.
thank you.
Actually, I have a second paper copy, now that I say that.
Oh, I had a second page.
Second page. There's only one page.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not looking at July. I'm in August.
It's in
Oh,
August.
go ahead. Oh.
No, I'll wait till we get to it.
The only change I have on July 25th is under Sugar Hill Speedway, 4 lines up from the bottom, the word versus should be VERSUS. This verses, spelled this way, is poetry verses,
We're biblical.
Thank you
or
for that.
biblical verses, very good.
Yeah,
I
because spell check,
appreciate that, thank you, Neil.
spell check wouldn't have taken that.
No.
Move we approve the minutes of July 25th as amended.
I'll second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm staying.
Did Jack say aye?
Yes, I did.
Oh, good. Abstain?
Yes, Bruce.
Opposed?
Abstaining, aye.
He went up.
Chuck and Bruce abstained. The rest of us voted aye. August 22nd. The only one question I had is on the first page. Hayfield doing business as HL Sugar Hill LLC? Really? Okay.
That same paragraph. Down at the bottom, last sentence.
Okay,
You accepted the application twice, but you never approved it.
that might have been my mistake.
Yeah.
No, it says in all others approved.
It says down here, accepted,
Yeah,
just before the number of votes.
as complete and all others approved.
So,
Mr. Kirk moved to approve, seconded by Mr. Meany.
No,
Mr. Kirk moved,
move to
seconded by
approve
Mr.
the application is complete.
No, that's before that. Mr. Kirk moved, seconded by Mr. Meany, to accept the application as complete and all others approved. The chair reviewed the application details of public comment, which was nil, therefore the public comment was closed, 7:52. Mr. Kirk moved to approve, seconded by Mr. Meany, that the application presented with the addition of retail sales be approved instead of accepted.
So, okay, so
It's okay.
that's correct, the way she
Yes,
has it.
Except change the last word from accepted to approved.
Yep.
yeah, that was my point.
Yeah, okay.
Change accepted to approved.
Yeah.
Yes, in the last line.
Yeah.
Okay,
And also on the first page, number 3,
Yep.
6th line down, line begins with night. Strike, put a period after night and strike the rest of that sentence. Two lines down,
That makes sense.
or the next line down from that begins with Elizabeth Hoffman. Instead of voice to the board, told the board. Continuing down in that paragraph, 5 lines up from the bottom, the line begins excessive and constant barking. Is the problem, not are. Barking is the problem. Excessive and constant or modifying barking.
Not the problem. Guess it could be either way.
No.
If you read the whole sentence complete. James Wilcoxon of 123 Old Francistown Road stated, excessive and constant barking are the problem. It could be period. He lives 2 properties back about 100
It
feet.
would be other problems if it was
Huh?
our
Are the
problems.
problem, well,
would
he
be
thinks are the
plural.
problem, but I mean, it could be, is the problem, are the problem.
Going on to the next page, 5. Third line down. Mr. Kirk, seconded by Mr. Meany, moved that the application be accepted as complete. 2 lines down from that, business has grown line. More employees and more clientele heightens the need for more parking. Going down to number 6, about,
Move back up a little bit.
Yep.
2 lines down where it says project and a parking lot extension of approximately, I thought it was 600 square feet, not feet.
Okay.
Yep.
from the bottom of that page, about 10 lines up, the line begins trucks only. It shouldn't be Mr. Kirk confirmed that the building will be insulated. I
Yeah,
think it
so
should
we-
just say, the building will be insulated, capitalize the T and the, because then it means that Zach
Yeah,
is
he
the
said
one
it.
who's making that statement. Also, Zach is spelled wrong. 2 lines above that, the K in Zach is missing. 4 lines up from the bottom, the line begins Hill Road. Eliminate the first fluid. With an increased use of fluids that leak, period. And then put in the word he, and then it reads, also thinks a traffic study is a good idea.
Back up to about the middle of the paragraph where it says Borough of Tax Map 202.
Yep.
Stated he is the only, I don't know why border is there.
Strike it out.
He stated he's the only real abutter, which I corrected him on that side of point.
Yeah.
And has no problem. I would strike border and to the.
Good, I missed that.
Reads a little better.
Yep. Okay,
On the last page,
you've got something?
I got something on the last page.
Oh, good for you.
F, variance for the driveway construction in the wetland buffer has expired. Explain what variance he wants, basically.
Can you please say that again?
Variance for the driveway construction in the wetland buffer has expired.
Can we read the minutes line to me?
What?
Yeah, the minutes line right there. Right by you.
Minutes replaced in the parking lot. We threw it there. You didn't see him on your way in?
No.
Can I say something?
Certainly.
I think I put traffic study in there too twice, A and then H, right?
Yes,
Okay,
Yeah.
yes,
I'm gonna just taking H and
Take-
making it A,
yes.
that's okay,
Well, H really,
or
descri-
just change all the
I would just take H off.
But no,
Well, you-
no, the
yeah,
explanation.
take A off.
Take
Take
A
A
off.
off.
Right, I'm just gonna move that up to A.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yep.
make HA or whatever.
yeah.
I'll move,
Yes.
that includes looking at the speed of 15 miles per hour. Up to A.
What about the minutes line with the parking lot? Is that what we're gonna move it?
You don't like that?
No.
I like that. I thought that was pretty good.
What is that supposed to say?
It says, it's just park for the next time, it's just fun.
It said
Run
what?
with it. It's just in the parking lot.
I've heard that expression
Yeah.
before.
I
It's
got
park.
it from probably one of the California board meetings.
California, there you go.
I probably went to like San Francisco.
Parked until the
Well,
next
I've
meeting.
been to meetings where you put something in the parking lot to talk about it at the
Yeah.
next meeting, and
Yep.
you
Yeah.
stick it over there and forget about it.
So am I correct? We're eliminating number 8?
H.
8.
No, he
Oh.
wants you to.
Roman 8.
Oh.
He doesn't.
Sorry.
He doesn't want you to park the minute.
Minutes-
Oh, he,
And
Minutes were
then,
tabled until the
They
next
were
meeting?
tabled until the
Tabled
next
is a New
meeting, so.
England.
you don't put that in the minutes.
Just eliminate number 8.
No, we didn't do anything. You don't have to say we didn't
Oh,
do
just
anything.
eliminate it then.
Yes, delete it.
Delete
And
number 8.
change Roman 9 to Roman 8
okay.
under adjournment.
She was seeing if we were gonna catch it, see, yeah.
She wanted to make sure we were paying attention.
Mr. Chairman, I move the minutes of the 22nd of August, 2019 be approved as amended.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained?
No, I didn't vote, I abstained. I didn't vote.
So we get the 2 abstentions again.
Any extra paperwork?
Garbage?
Garbage or something else?
All of it, because what's
You
your?
must have been a terror in school.
There's a basket right there.
Oh, it's over there.
Yeah, they
Usually it's
moved-
over here, but
Yeah,
it's not
somebody
there.
No, it's over there.
moved it a while ago, so.
Throwing stuff at the teacher?
My son's a basketball coach, but I don't think
Oh, I
I
can
could
make
make
it all.
Where is it?
it. Over there behind, right in front of the easel,
Yeah, somebody moved it
falling
over
off the
there.
chair.
Not either.
Did you miss it too?
I know we're having fun. Mr. Meany,
You
You,
adjourn?
you mentioned before we came in here that
yes, I was gonna bring it up, so whenever we get there.
They adjourn?
Again, we talked about it at the last meeting, and I'd like to bring it up now that we've got
Did you adjourn or not?
no.
everybody here.
The selectmen have an issue for us.
Is about the Class 6 highways. And the chairman came up with them a while ago, and I've seen them, Ship had handed some of them to me, and it has to do with upgrading our standards for the Class 6 roads, so we don't end up in trouble like we've gotten and already, by trying to permit people to have on a Class 6 road to put a driveway standards to get in 1,300 feet to a lot. That he came up with a format that Canaan uses, the town of Canaan, and it has a complete checklist, like an appendix of the checklist, so they can get building permits on Class 6 and private roads. It has, included in this packet, it also, which they passed, also has to do the limits of municipal responsibility and liability for Class 6 and private roads that's given and has to be signed for by the people doing this, and has to be notarized or sworn to by a justice of the peace. It gives the specifications on what they do as far as if they have to build out there, what the standards they have to meet, what it has the fire code, and it quotes the NFPA standards. And I think that's something that we should look at and possibly adopt in our building code regulations for anybody that wants to go out there, so we don't keep running into this problem, because eventually it's already manifested itself into a problem. And I think to be a little proactive and get it out of the way and make it part of the standards.
I think that something needs to be looked at, I agree. Question though, will this mean that we're going to have even more buildings on Class 6 roads? Because the ZBA just, as a matter of course, approves these.
Yeah,
I
and they
think
don't,
they've ever
and if you
denied
look at it, we went to, and you have a copy of the ruling from the town attorney. They don't have the final say on it. It has to come before the Board of Selectmen.
Well, sort of.
According to what Thresher said, no.
In other words-
The final word doesn't go to they don't have the authority, it's a town road. They don't have the right to turn around and tell them, oh yeah, you can do it as a driveway standard. 1,300 feet at 12 feet wide to go up as a driveway standard on a Class 6 road, which is, I think the average easement is a 2-rod road. And
No, I'm just saying, but can't the applicant appeal the selectmen's decision to the zoning board?
I think the way the Drescher explained it, we're the last to stop for that. They can appeal it, but it doesn't mean that we're gonna approve it. They're gonna, they'll end up in court, most likely. But the thing is we've got roads now that
I'm not
have just
disagreeing
been
with you.
passed off, and I mean, what's our responsibility? I mean, that's a town it's already designated a town road. Just because we don't maintain it, doesn't mean that somebody all of a sudden can decide, oh, I'm gonna build it and use it for a driveway. That's the basic, simple
Could-
term of it.
Does the town have the legal authority to prohibit any addition, no variance
Yes.
allowed?
Yes.
To prohibit any additional houses to be built on Class 6 roads?
Yes.
We haven't done that, is that correct?
We just did it with the one on Worthley Road. We wouldn't let them build because of the standard
No,
of the road.
I'm not talking about a particular case. I mean, as a general
As a
statement.
general rule now, well, we hadn't been, but now we're looking at it to the point where we are.
You can't, the town cannot restrict somebody from applying for a variance for anything.
Right.
That's right.
But they're
Now-
gonna,
Can we take away the authority from the ZBA?
No,
So
Yeah,
then
that's
how can the
right.
town do what Jack said?
we've got it, if you read, there's a state case on it, and I got it right here. Metzger versus Brentwood. Says the local governing body is basically what it boils down to. And comment by the planning board has voted to authorize the issuance of building permits for the erection of buildings on said Class 6 highways or a portion thereof. The municipality neither assumes responsibility nor maintenance for the highways or the liability for any damages. Prior to the issuance of the building permit, the applicant shall produce evidence that notice of the limits of municipal responsibility has been recorded with the county agency of deeds, which we have not done. The other part of it is that if they want to give them a variance, but they're going to have to meet certain standards. For instance,
But-
Renault, there's a case we got now, is Mr. Renault. And we've already looked at it, and that's down on Sawyer Road. And he keeps saying, oh, I never got told we have to do something about the culvert on the corner of, was it Jewett Road and Sawyer Road? And I told him at the selectmen's meeting, yes, you were, because I sat at that meeting, and you have to put a culvert in. You have to meet that standards, and you'll have to talk to the road agent. He has been, and he's played it. Oh, I never knew that. And he did know that. He got notice of that. He's
I
come
think he
before
hears
us.
what he wants to hear.
He's, and basically to quote a phrase from our past enforcement officer, he's as dumb as a fox,
Yeah, he said that too.
So he's been told again that this is what he has to do. In that section of the road, he has to bring it up to a certain standard. Then if he does that, and it passes muster with the road agent, then okay, come back and then you can get your, if everything else is met, when he comes into the building office, that he can go apply for a building permit. But until he gets that done,
What's the point of saying you can't build on a Class 6 road when the ZBA allows anybody who wishes to build on a Class 6 road?
well, then the ZBA doesn't have the final say. And like for saying, for instance, you can just do 1,300 feet of a driveway at 12 feet. That's a town road. You're not gonna just build up part of that standard to do that. We're gonna also open up to the fact, and I brought that up, that you're gonna, and we had that discussion with Drescher, and he goes, no. You wanna give them the variance if they wanna do that, but they don't have the paperwork to say, okay, like it says here, which the statute also requires. What are you you're gonna remove the town from any liability. Do we have that paperwork? No. We haven't gotten that paperwork.
But assuming they cross all the Ts,
Well, if
dot
we-
all the Is,
This is gonna
And-
hold them to that to make sure that they do that. This has got a checklist in there that they have to meet. It has a form that they actually have to go and record. If you look now, I'll bet you there's not anything that's got recorded. We've allowed it on East Shore Drive, and you've got people building out in the middle of the road. You've got people that have got buildings in the town right away. And then you look at the deed, and, we went through this, the deed says, I think the deed says, and the road agent just looked up, says it's, the right-of-way for the town is 44 foot wide.
44.
There's a deed that actually says 44 feet. I thought it was a
actually-
two-rod road that was 33 feet, but
Right.
he found some paperwork, and it shows on the people's deeds that live up there that the town right-of-way is 44 feet.
So anyway,
So, I mean, there's a conflict right there, but we've never followed through. Those were camps, and then we allowed people to build year-round homes up there, and now they've got garages and other structures sitting out in our right-of-way. And then you haven't seen it, but they've been coming before the planning, the select board, and they want us to go in there and do this. And there's one gentleman that was very boisterous, and no, we can't, and I think, but part of it boils down to the fact is that Steve Elliott no longer is maintaining it. He did that because he lived down there, and he finally said, I'm retiring. And he said that 2 years ago. I'm retiring. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to be here during the winter. I'm going to go to Florida. I'll be around during the summer, but I'm retiring from business. I'm not going to have the equipment. I'm not going to do this. So now they have to hire somebody else, and I think that they don't like the fact that now to get them to sand it, they're paying probably 3 times more. And to get it graded, they're not getting it graded, so there's been issues.
either way, the selectmen are hoping we could adopt something in the building code.
So it'll be in the building code, so there's no questions, no variables, no ifs, ands, or buts.
So we could look at the building code and get rid of the septic design requirement at the same time we do this.
Yes, please. But also the building code refers back to Boca and Cabo.
Yeah.
So that really needs to be updated. It's,
Yeah.
I didn't think the planning board had to do the building code, I don't know if that was building.
But-
Do we do the building code?
I thought we made suggestions.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I don't think we actually,
We make suggestions, it goes to the building, it goes to them. I
Board of
believe.
Selectmen, and then we can pass it through.
Right.
Yeah.
okay,
Some of that may have to go on a warrant before the town.
not for a building code change.
No, but I mean, there's probably some other stuff that may have to in there.
There's some zoning changes?
No,
I
zoning
got
changes.
some of those
yeah.
ideas too.
Zoning?
Yeah, zoning, what?
Cool.
Dog kennels?
So we should
Yeah.
make some we should have,
It comes in November. You start your hearings in November for,
Well, I think,
Zoning
like I said,
changes.
out of the
We can
ones that
talk about it
I've,
next month.
and I know that Greg just told me about a website, and I didn't know that, but I'm going to a meeting on that sometime next month. But, that,
I'll forward that stuff to you.
yeah, but looking at,
Bruce
the
looked
ones
at
that
it.
I've looked at from other towns, this is, Canaan is for a small town, and I have a soft spot there, because my family's from there originally, but they have a very comprehensive checklist.
No, I told Jack about, I thought 6, but now that I think about it, probably a year and a half ago. PlanLink had a huge discussion about Class 6 road building on, it, and every town was talking about it.
Oh, every town's had an issue with it. at some
And every
point, right?
town, it joined into this
just the
email
roads.
conversation, and that's when Canaan popped this thing out.
Yep.
And I saw it, and I, wow, that, like you said, I thought it was pretty comprehensive.
I think it's probably one of the more comprehensive ones I've seen,
Yeah, it is. Pretty good.
Yeah.
without,
Shortly after this went into discussion, the whole discussion just quit.
without,
But we'll still that. Like,
and it does, and it seems to be there without
you know,
being, I guess, for lack of a better term, heavy-handed, that it
Right.
follows everything pretty much,
yeah, you change the dates to match our zoning ordinance.
yeah,
everything,
and change the title on the
Yeah,
top.
yeah.
And I mean, I know that, when we had the meeting with Drescher, I had a copy of it then, and Chip was at that meeting, and I brought it up then, and he got a look at it, and he thought it was pretty good, so.
I guess I have to look at how to make it work, because, I mean, variances, for somebody,
I mean,
it probably doesn't even require a variance in Canaan though to do that, does it?
Pardon me?
It probably doesn't even require a variance in Canaan to do that, does it? Because how do we, I don't think it's possible,
To be honest, I don't know.
I don't think it's possible to dictate to the ZBA prerequisites for a variance.
I mean,
No.
part of this goes on, I
It's
mean,
a
and part of
condition of
it's,
a variance that you have to follow.
They're not dictating to the ZBA.
Oh.
What they're doing is to tell the ZBA has to approve it. You still need to approve of the selectmen to work in the town right away.
right.
If
It's
you're gonna
right.
work- If you're gonna work in the town right away.
Right, you have to have it's the town it's town property, you have to have approval of
If
the
you're gonna work
selectmen.
in town property, this is the way you're gonna
I
do
mean,
it.
and some of that comes under what, was it RSA 674, there's a section of that.
And that's what your variances
It's-
say now. There's conditions, and one of them says it must meet driveway maintenance agreements, or you must record.
Right.
Passing on such appeal of an application, Board of Adjustment, local
I'll send it to you
legislative
first.
board. And
You wanna give
part of
Benji a
that
copy, too?
decision, which
Wanna
you
give
guys
Benji
get
a
a copy
copy,
of,
too?
oh, you weren't here.
Well,
From
I'll scan
Drescher,
it and send
and
it
it
over to
refers to
everybody,
the
so
stat, it says any decision, such decision in connection by the Board of Adjustment, local legislative board, or Board of Appeals pursuant to the RSA, is subject to review. I mean, it's,
so one of the, I know this has been a issue, I don't know how recent, but one of the problems we had with this whole private road and Class 6 road building permits, was- I know there's a couple of them, the planning board gave recommendations to the selectmen, you know, after the,
Worthley Road, I mean, we've shut it down.
but then we send the recommendations off and they got approved by the select board without incorporating our recommendations.
Well, I know that Worthley Road came before us, and that's still in the, that still hasn't been.
So the first Worthy Road when it got constructed, got painted.
That was before I sat on the board. I wouldn't have given them that recommendation for that, to
Well,
put that
the
in.
recommendation we gave did not happen.
Yeah, well, I don't know what the recommendation, that was before I became on the
It
board,
was,
so.
it was the base of the driveway, basically, had to be
Yeah.
built to
Yeah.
class.
And there was one or
5
two
standard.
others too, but.
And then I know the second one had to have a certain road-based standards in it, which is basically what it calls for, what
Subdivision, right?
DOT and subdivision and what, it's the same thing, it's standard. But that never even got that far because, no, they're not doing it for 1,300 feet in the driveway.
They need a wetland scientist and wetland permit to do that one too.
Yeah.
So Jack, sorry.
The thing that troubles me about this discussion is that the purpose for saying no development on Class 6 roads was at least twofold. Number one, the town didn't want to have the expense of maintaining the road. because-
Which we don't anyway.
Understood. And number two, we felt that those Class 6 roads were inappropriate for development.
And here's the third prong to that. It's also to the point that we still have to provide certain services there.
And so,
And those services are two in particular,
Fire and ambulance.
fire and police. And if they don't meet a certain standard, they're gonna be somewhat hampered. They'll go, but like, and Benji will have to go out there in a snowstorm possibly and do something to clear it if they're not plowed. There's no maintenance agreements. We had that discussion with Sawyer Road the other night, and the woman at the end said, unless they do something because of the way that road, the culvert is, I mean, they ride in and out of there in a snow machine. So putting more houses out there is gonna put,
but the net effect of the proposal that you're putting forward is going to encourage more people to develop on Class 6 roads.
if they
and
do that, they have to meet a certain standard. I mean, you're not gonna stop it.
Why not?
Neil, I don't think you're gonna.
Why?
be-
Because what right do you have to turn them to say you can't build out there?
You can, it's a vested right on their property.
It's a vested right, they own the property. You're gonna go, well, your road's a Class 6 road.
Well, then
you're
why do
gonna-
they have to get a variance?
What, to build up there? Because they don't, it's a town road, it's a town right of way,
because
whether
the-
it's
because
maintained or
the Zoning
otherwise.
says you can't build a class 6 or
That's right.
private road, so therefore you need a variance.
You need a variance.
Okay.
I think you used the wrong word there, Neil, when you said encourage. I don't think this policy is gonna encourage people to build on a class 6 road.
It's gonna encourage them to meet certain standards.
It may allow them to, but I think about 90%, 95% of them are gonna find it's cost prohibitive to do it.
They buy the land because it's cheap, and they figure they're gonna get a good deal, and their tax rate reflects that.
I got a client right now in Derry, bought a lot for 10 grand, 5-acre lot, it's on a class 6 road.
Which aren't many in Derry
No,
anymore.
no, he's gotta build 1,800 feet of road or something like that to it.
Up to Class 5 specs?
Yeah,
And how much will that cost him?
I don't remember, but
about $100,
the lot is now being.
if it's gravel, it's about
he's got
$100,000 a
tax lien on it
mile.
now.
What's it, about $100,000 a mile, I think it is, something like that.
If you're not paving, it's gonna be about $200 a foot.
Yeah,
So Jack, would this
Depending
be
how
a
bad it is.
standard form, a template?
yes.
So for everybody, so
Yeah.
it doesn't have to go for a review of attorney every time somebody
No,
signs
it'd be a
it?
standard.
So once the attorney approves it?
Well, they go to the ZBA first?
They'd have to come and get this, to come in and get this permit and get this checklist to get, before they even apply, when they apply for a building
They don't
permit.
have to go to ZBA
No.
anymore. Okay.
Yes, they do.
Well, no, they could apply for the permit and then go to the ZBA saying this is what I want.
do it.
But if they meet those standards,
This would be part of that
it's
building.
kind of a no-brainer. Because now we're not gonna get driveways, or we're not gonna get,
If they meet the standards.
And you're saying the standards are so onerous to protect the town, appropriately
Right.
so, that it will deter people from
may
doing
not
that.
deter them, but we weren't gonna get substandard road work and substandard.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you affect more than 100,000 square feet, which is over 2 acres, obviously, you need an AOT permit from the state. You're never gonna get one. If you disturb more than an acre, you gotta have a stormwater pollution prevention plan.
Right.
You still got to put culverts and all that kind of stuff in there in places if you have a very long road.
This is now gonna,
It's gonna turn into a major project for
it's now what it's gonna do is it's gonna have something in it.
So how about Sawyer Road and Jewett Road? Are they going to, will any other new, even if the ZBA approves these additional lots, you're saying that the people will not be able to afford to do it and meet the standards that Jack
Yeah,
was
well, I mean,
talking
like
about?
the gentleman on Jewett Road is right there at the beginning. I mean, Jewett and Sawyer Road, he's right at the corner.
Right.
So I mean,
He's
yeah, does he have to bring up, not the whole road, but he's gotta bring the standard up as long as it's his, borders his lot. Or lots, the way I
Or
look at
to his
it.
driveway.
Huh?
Or to his driveway.
To his driveway. But he hasn't got approval for a driveway, so at this point, we're telling him, okay,
October
You know,
10th work
this is it.
session's gonna be busy.
we're looking at the plan he brought in, he didn't have a driveway, he's looking to put it in, you're gonna have, I wanna build on these lots, what do I have to do? You're gonna have to, you've been to the planning board, before you even entertain anything, you're gonna do that culvert and bring that up, you're gonna have to do this, you know.
You're saying that if I have 200 feet abutting a Class 6 road,
Yeah.
and there's another 2,000 feet from my house to a Class 5 road, under your proposal...
Which, where are you gonna put the driveway? If you're gonna put the driveway in the class 5 road, no, you don't have to do anything.
It's 2,000, my lot is 2,000 feet from the
From,
Class
okay.
5 road. But I have 200 feet frontage
You're
on a
gonna have-
Class 6
You're
road.
gonna have to build up to 200 feet. Well, it depends on where you put your driveway in,
The 2,000 feet.
or 2,000 feet.
Which is it?
He's saying he has a lot with 200 feet of frontage.
Yep.
That's 2,000 feet from a class 5 road.
Right.
So he has to build that 2,000 feet up to the standard, and
But he's got 2,000 feet on a class 5 road, right?
he
No,
doesn't-
he has
no,
nothing on a Class 5
No.
road.
Oh, it's 2,000 feet from,
He's
is it
from.
2,000 feet?
Away from.
From.
Away
Oh,
from.
you're saying the lot, I'm looking at access. Okay, if there's a class 6 road, how far is it to
It's
where
like
you're gonna-
Jewett. It's
How
like-
far is it gonna be to where you put your driveway in?
It's 2,100 feet from my
You'll
driveway.
have, to where you put the driveway in on the class 6 road, then, yeah,
Is it 2,100 feet
Yeah.
or 100 feet?
2,100.
So everyone else that comes in afterwards,
Has to do the same thing.
no, because it's
No.
already done.
Yeah, it's already done.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, if they're already built in there, yeah. But I mean, if they're beyond that 2,100 feet, then they've gotta continue it onto there,
Right,
continue it
so
onto
the
there.
first guy is the one who has a real burden.
Could be the last person, could be the person way out the end. Say that's the person that bought, they didn't buy the lot at the beginning, they own the land out at the back, and it's 2 miles in.
So they've done it for everybody.
So at that point, yeah, they're kinda gonna get stuck doing it for everybody.
Okay.
I mean, this is the deal, when they come up, oh, yeah, this is a great deal, we'll buy that, we're gonna move up here, build a driveway in there. I mean, and then someplace down the road, there's gonna be another house, and that's the thing that was my argument with Worthley Road when it came before us, and it became before the board too, the select board, is you look at that, there's a whole bunch of lots that come off that other road that border it, and they all have access to that road, and I can see them now putting a driveway in and using that to get in and out of there. I'll have another driveway to back into that road. And don't say me it won't, because you know as well as I, somebody will, oh, I'd like to get access to the back property, because I can't drive around through the front into the back.
How do they have a hardship? They got access from the class 5, they don't need it from the
I
class
know, but
6.
I'm saying somebody may want another driveway, or there's other
bad.
lots further up, or that road may get punched all the way through, which it has the access to.
So anyway, you want us to look at this
Yep. I
and
think,
look at revising the building code. So we need a copy of the building code.
Okay.
Yay.
Okay.
We got a wintertime project.
yeah, there you go.
A building code up, that's just something we can do like a subdivision, we can just review it, and then I think the building
Put there,
official has to have a public hearing, and then they can prove it.
yep,
Or goes to the
and
selectmen.
it goes to the selectmen.
The selectmen are the administrative authorities over the building department.
We're acting, it's recommending
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah, you recommend it, and then once it gets recommended here, then we'll
Right.
go through the public
Still needs a
hearing.
public hearing out of it.
Yeah, it goes through the
Yeah.
public hearing,
Yeah.
you know, the building code enforcement will do the public hearing, and then we have it and done.
Are there minutes of this conversation?
It should be.
Better be.
Yeah.
She's over there,
There is now.
she's over there tickling the ivories, I think, so.
I'll send Bruce and Chuck a copy of this, and you have it?
I do.
What, the Canaan? Yeah,
Yeah.
I made a copy.
Yeah.
No, Chuck wasn't here, I think.
No, Chuck wasn't here when you brought it up the
Yeah,
first time.
which was a couple meetings ago. Bruce hasn't been here in
Oh, summer.
the dog's age.
I was in for one meeting in July.
Yeah. That seems like a million years ago.
It does. Is that a motion, Neil?
Yes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned.